they got numbers. Open for three, Houston.
All right, welcome in. It is the final down at the Chrysler Center. The students rushing the floor. Who'd have thought that? Not me, and probably not you. I didn't think a court storming was going to happen tonight in Ann Arbor, but here we are. That's why we love watching sports, because the unexpected happened. And Michigan, they needed a win against a top 25 team, quad one win in the baddest of ways. They were desperate. You know what? They came out and played like that immediately and played wire to wire. Welcome in. Maize and Blue review, TMBR TV, Michigan Purdue postgame. It is over, and Michigan wins it by 82-58, 24 points. Yeah, you heard that right. Michigan by 24. They led by 9 at the half. No fluke this game. I don't know if you could fluke your way into a 24-point win over the third ranked team in the country, but bottle this up if you're Juwan Howard. You know what? Right from the jump. You'd say, well, Michigan looked different. Yeah. And, how did they look different? They had energy. I'd say, yeah, for sure they had energy. They played like, their tournament life was at stake, desperation right from the jump ball, value on the ball. Like it was, a stack of $100 bills when it was out there. Some of the individual players I think about in the first half and this one, I'd start with Moussa Diabate. Moussa Diabate can do a lot of different things out on the floor, but, get him the ball 10 feet from the basket anywhere and have him face up and go. And if he wants, when he gets down to the paint to, put his body on somebody and put his back, to the basket there, he's pretty good that way. Or just go in and slam it with your left hand like he did. Moussa Diabate was fabulous. He was one of the big reasons that Michigan established itself early. I would also put Devonta Jones into that category. Devonta Jones with the steals, the drives, the dishes, making his shots, driving, making his layups. He was fabulous as well. And then Hunter Dickinson, the man, coming right out. He gets the Glacier, Zach Edey, into foul trouble a minute into this game, and it was a game changer. If you're sitting over there and you're a member of the media and you're talking to Matt Painter after the game, you say, hey, how big of a deal was that foul in the first minute? And, Painter say, look, we had a long time to play, but yeah, it changed our rotation. And other guys have to step up. And, I like the, you say aggressiveness of Michigan, and it showed with a lot of different players. You throw the ball to Hunter Dickinson instead of, Hunter, wherever he's at, kind of surveying, maybe passing around. Hunter's getting it, and he's deciding. Boom, he's passing it, he's driving, he's shooting almost immediately, and I like that. And you know what, Michigan, you go back 5 days ago when Michigan was at Mackey, and you watch the Wolverines. They had a lot of problems with the screen that was being set right at the free throw line. Of course, Purdue was right out there, setting that screen again. And whatever guy came up to set that screen, whatever you say, the hedge or the show, it was there. I mean, they practiced it, and they were jumping out, and they were stopping that drive. That was important. And then, the catch and fire after that, Caleb Houston in this game, you saw the confidence. He had a shot in the paint that he missed first, but then, he was outside wide open for a three, went up there and splash, nothing but net. And, he dropped in a few. He looked pretty good as well. And, who didn't look good for Michigan? It was a fabulous game for them, their best game of the year. And now, you know what, when you have 9 games to go, and, earlier in the week, you looked at the bracketology, and Michigan wasn't in the first 4 out. They weren't in the next 4. They were in like a next group from there. Well, they went out and really, not the game Tuesday night in Happy Valley. It's not like Michigan came out and was like, wow, man, they looked against Penn State. They didn't look awesome at all. They got down double figures in the first half to Penn State. They did put a little run together, 11-0 run against the Nittany Lions to get that game tied at the half. And then, they found a way to just get a victory on Tuesday night. You take it. Although, I said it on Tuesday, they play like that against Purdue or against Ohio State, this season's going to be over quick. And, I think they realized that. I don't know. It was Juwan Howard. Did he have to say, guys, you know what? It's time. We got to go out there. Whatever happens, play like there's no tomorrow. Like whatever. A good question. If I was, I don't know if I'm saying it's a good question because I would ask it, but if I was sitting in the press room, I'd say, hey, Juwan, what did you say to your team to get them to come out and punch first or play with the excitement and the energy and the desperation that they did here tonight? And you know what? It'd be interesting to hear what Juwan had to say. He might say something like, it starts with our defense. And you know what? Purdue knew that Michigan was going to run that full court pressure on them because they slapped it on them in West Lafayette on Saturday, and it gave the Boilers a little bit of trouble. And the first time they did it, Michigan got a turnover on it, and that felt like it was a little bit of a game changer, in this one as well. But now if you're a Michigan fan, this is. I mean, you didn't expect Michigan to roll over, opponents in every game, but heading into the season, this is for the people that looked at this team and thought, you know what? Yeah, you got start with Hunter Dickinson. You got a guy 7-1. There's going to be a mismatch problem, whoever he goes against, and everybody can play off of him and feed off of him and go from there. And the highly talented, touted freshmen that were coming in, they were on display. Devonta Jones, all of it. So, there it was. And, you got any questions? You got any comments? Go ahead and put them up in the comment section. We'll get to them. Let's look at a couple here and see if I can, pretty much I can go down the roster, I would think, and looking at it. Let's just look at the play here. We've got Caleb Houston wide open, or is that Johns? I can't really tell. It looks like Houston knocked that shot down, and there's Johns on the bench, so we know it was Caleb. And then here's Eli Brooks, who caught fire in the second half. And if there was any idea that Purdue was going to come back in this one, Eli was making sure that was going to happen. But look at the passing here. You got Devonta Jones getting into the lane, kicking it out. I saw Hunter Dickinson throwing opposite a couple times. And, this one by Eli, let's see, just pushing it up. Yeah, that's just Brooks, man, getting up ahead of everybody, in the flow of everything and knocking that one down. How about it, for the Wolverines, who let's just take a look at it now. They are now 13-9 and 7-5 in the Big Ten. They get their first win against a ranked team. They get, as their resume goes, is pretty flimsy, heading into this game. Now all of a sudden, when you put the resume up there, you're just looking for a signature win. Purdue, right there. It happened, and they were able to get it. So on February the 10th at night at the Chrysler Center, the crowd, they didn't look like, I can't tell up there in the upper reaches of the gold. They turn the lights off and everything, probably a good idea. But, the people that were there, they made a lot of noise, for Michigan. So they should be credited. And, Michigan, but this game here, it's funny how things can work. Now you start taking a look at this stretch and you look at the rest of the games here and what they have remaining. And, they've got coming up Saturday against Ohio State. Michigan can beat Ohio State. They got to go out and validate this win. Go ahead, get themselves another one, against Ohio State. And then a week from tonight, going on the road against Iowa, steal one, start thinking about stuff like that. It feels like it's tournament time for this team right now. Did they come together? Does this mean they're going to get in? Hey, no, it doesn't mean they're going to get in. What does tonight mean? Tonight means that if Michigan comes out and plays desperate, energized basketball, then they can play with anybody in the country. Now, can they do that consistently? Can they take it on the road? Can they take it back-to-back games? I mean, that's anybody's guess here. I would think that they would come out, and when you have success like this and you taste it, you get that first W, and now teams and now, announcers, instead of saying, "Oh boy, this team," now they're looking at him saying, "All right, Michigan had some young guys." And you know what? Yeah. They had a lot of different pieces here, and they all came together. Let's use some of the cliches. Let's do it. What's the first one that comes to mind? Better late than never. That would be the first one that comes to mind for me, for the Wolverines. And yeah, it's not too late. They do have a lot of work. The good news is, as you've been following it. The good news is that, it's the same. You could, say it's the bad news. Michigan has a lot of games against ranked opponents, but you know what? You go out there, and if you just started talking about, could they win their games that they have at home and, maybe split some of those road games, well, they're going to be in the tournament. And, despite what you thought, if you thought, it's still going to be a disappointment because I thought that they were going to be, really good before the season. I mean, look, how many times you hear people dogging on preseason rankings? The only thing you can do with preseason rankings is you look at them and say, okay, well, we get it. It is the preseason, and you're making your calls about what you think is going to happen and everything else. But the way this team played, it's a long ways away from talking about this team, winning the Big Ten and going to the Final Four and all those things. I mean, that ship sailed a long time ago. Now it's just like, hey, can they get and find something where they can make a push, where they might be able to play some meaningful games when they get to March. And, that's where I'm sitting right now. Can they play some meaningful games getting into March? How about take a look at the box score? Everything's good here if you're a Michigan fan. All 5 starters score in double figures, led by Hunter Dickinson, who had a 22. Eli Brooks had 18. Devonta Jones with 11 points and 10 feeds. How about that? His best game in the Maize and Blue. I would also say it's the best game of the Maize and Blue for Moussa Diabate, who was fabulous, in particular in the first half, but 15 points and 4 boards for Moussa. And then Caleb Houston, about 4 of 6 from downtown. That's something you can build on. And then the bench, I was saying, they're going to need something from the bench. They didn't get a whole lot. In fact, 2 points from the bench from Brandon Johns. That's it. So, yeah, if you're looking for somebody, like see, that bench contribute a little bit more. But everything else in this game, you're going to like. In the early going, they had a picture of Hunter Dickinson riding a bike, when he was taken out after a foul against Travion Williams. He's over there. Well, then they show some video of him before the game. He's down like, let's see, it was his right leg. He was down there like, maybe he's got an ankle, or, then he was like, maybe he's got a calf. I'm like, he's got an ankle and he's got a calf. And he's like, now it looks like a knee. And I'm like, I didn't know he had an ankle. I didn't know he had a calf. And now he's got a knee. But you know what? It'll be interesting to see. I don't think they're going to say anything in the post game. Be interested to see Saturday if he's got any raps or anything else. And if he talks tonight, like, oh, that stuff precautionary, he won't say anything. But, the way that he played after that, he wasn't favoring anything. He wasn't grabbing on any knees. He looked good. What was Hunter Dickinson? The 3-pointers at this point now, 4 of 6. Kidding me? 4 of 6 from downtown for Dickinson? That's unexpected. Not unexpected before the season. Maybe not unexpected at this point, because he does shoot him now. And if you leave him open, he's casting. And you know what? It looks pretty good. It's not like you like Moussa Diabate, God love him. He played his best game in the Maize and Blue. He shot a 3 late, but, he's got, kind of a hitch. He's throwing it up there. It's like, that looks like a prayer when he's throwing it up. Dickinson, it doesn't look like a prayer. It looks nice and smooth, and it's like, oh, okay. Not everyone, he threw up a brick last game. Didn't draw anything, but, mostly, man, he's looking pretty deadly out there to go with his low post game. And props. He looks like he's ready. I don't know, say put the team on his back or anything else, but he is saying, I'm a force. force in college basketball, and let's go. And so bottle this one up, take it, and take down the Buckeyes on Saturday. Get the crowd cheering just like football. And, make no mistake, when it's Ohio State, you say, sometimes you hear, I think it myself, this can't be as intense as football. And you're right. It's not. Nothing is intense as intense as football. But you know what? All those people that will go to the game on Saturday, they're all football fans. And they all remember how Michigan treated Ohio State this year at the Big House and how the Wolverines played. They want that same kind of performance from the basketball team. And it kind of feels like, it feels like just like football. And, it gives you the memories of football if the basketball team can play like that. If they're able to beat them down like they beat down the Boilers there, it's back and basking in the glow of the way it was back on November 27th when Michigan beat Ohio State 42-27. But, hey, just a little bit of that. That's how the fans are thinking. And even though you say none of that, the fans will be engaged in this one, and they want Michigan to beat Ohio State like nothing else here, especially now coming off the win tonight. Things looking very good. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect Michigan to win this game. And so the way that they played, it was a real head turner, and congratulations goes out to them here tonight. And now, like I've been saying, like, I don't think this team's going to get into the tournament. Look at these games that they have to play. I haven't seen it in here, but this is, as I say, a game changer. This felt like a game changer. We'll see if they're going to be able to take any of, this kind of play and get it out there and play like this on Saturday night against Ohio State. But that is the thing about this Michigan team when you just look through it. The games that they have left, and, now they have 8 games remaining. Most of these games are at home. Next, like Saturday's game, it is at home against Ohio State. And then a week from today, Thursday, they do go to Iowa. And then a week from Super Bowl Sunday, this Sunday, they're going to Wisconsin. But they wrap up the end of this month with 2 home games, Rutgers and Illinois. Neither of those games are going to be easy. But, get yourself to March. Get yourself to March where you feel like if you can win 2 out of the 3 games in March, and they've got Michigan State at home, and they've got Iowa at home, and then they have to go down to Ohio State. Get yourself a position where you win 2 of those 3, and you feel like you're going to get in. Because you know what? You have to be 4 games over 500. That's usually the threshold, at least to be considered by the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee. But we do know there was a COVID year. We do know that Michigan missed a game. Some shuffling around there. So there could be, it could be different. Keep an eye on that net ranking. Try to keep that thing below 50 or whatever it is. You feel like you have a shot, but really it's coming down to W's. And taking care. I don't think they're going to win all their home games, but get yourself to March where you can win 2 out of 3 and it puts you in. And yeah, you always have that last bullet in the Big Ten tournament. You can't count on that, though. It's not like you get in there if you're sitting there and you just have 16 wins and, you got to get to Sunday to get in. I mean, that's tough. It's tough to win a game. They're talking about win 2 and 3 and making a run. And if you're not playing well, who really thinks that they're going to make a run? But they played well tonight. They played great. They played their best game of the year. Worst announcing performance in 5 years. So if Edey doesn't foul, they would be down 26. LOL. Yeah, Jeremy, you'd have to clarify a little bit. You didn't like the combination of Brian Custer and John Crispin. I did see somebody, I went over to Twitter for a minute, to put out a tweet about how surprised I was by the way Michigan was playing. And I did see a tweet of somebody blasting the broadcast crew. And hey, it's the first time. I'm not familiar with Brian Custer. he sounded good. And, I know the John Crispin brothers back in the day, they're all right. And, James, is Purdue going to drop to a 2 seed? Well, I mean, just look this year. You look this week. Kansas lost. They were up there. I mean, teams. It happens. It's a little bit too early. I mean, start talking about can they be a 1 seed? Purdue's a really good team. I mean, that's the thing. Where if you're a Michigan fan, this is why you feel really good about tonight, because Purdue up till tonight, they look like the best team in the Big Ten. Experienced guards, experienced guys that they're bringing off the bench. Edie, Travion Williams, that 1-2 punch. Ivy, who the crowd was chanting overrated. Guy looks, he's going to be a lottery pick. It's a tremendous team. They just they didn't look like that tonight. It happens when you bring in a different set of broadcasters, and you have the number 3 team in the country, and Crispin was out, called the game on Tuesday night in Happy Valley, and he kept referencing. He was like, "This is not the same team that I saw on Tuesday night," and he was right about that. So I don't know, one team has been way up here all year long, and other teams down here. You just want a complete, bowing down, of, hey, look at the Wolverines. It's fine. If that's what you want, I get it. I think that goes with the territory, blasting the broadcasters about, being one-sided or anything else. Was it a factor that Edie got the foul right off the bat? Sure. Changes your rotation, and it gives Michigan some confidence. But, Michigan kept making those plays over and over and over and over and over again right off the bat. And, it was no fluke that way. I mean, you're just looking at it. They're up 8, they're up 9. It's 38-29. Was this it felt like a boat racing. I'd have to look and see if it actually was a true boat race. And you know what? Before I leave, get your comments in there. I will. I'll tell you if this was a complete and total boat racing or not. A boat race is where, you're in the boat with the paddles, and if you get out ahead rowing, and you get out ahead, and you never let that boat go in front of you, you stay in front of them. You boat race them. Purdue scored the first bucket of this game. They scored the second bucket. Michigan took the lead just over 3 minutes in. Diabate had a dunk, and then they did not look back from there. So it wasn't a total and complete boat racing. Jeremy with a little clarification here. Meant to say that he said constantly that if Edie wasn't in foul trouble, the game would be different. I watched the entire game. It was 100% anti-Michigan. That was the narrative. Yeah, you're not the only one. I didn't feel like that. I rarely do, with the broadcasters. Not that I'm looking to make give them a break or anything else, but usually, you're a Michigan fan. Purdue fans who are watching that would be saying like, hey, why do you guys compliment Michigan so much? I hear you. And sometimes like it was a factor, and to them, with it completely changing everything else, they're looking to something else. I mean, it was the first minute of the game. If it was Hunter Dickinson, that what if the roles were reversed? Let's just say Michigan was the number 3 team in the country, and Purdue came in, and Dickinson got in foul trouble, and like the announcers might say, it's a pretty big deal. It changed Michigan up and what they want to do. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. What I would worry about is if Michigan's going to be able to replicate the energy and excitement that they showed against Ohio State on Saturday night. And, I think why not? I mean, from that standpoint, they can play desperate. I mean, there's no reason to sit around and be like, oh, yeah, we got this thing now. They got themselves a win, but they got a long way to go. And they cut down by the way they played this year in some of the games, their margin of error. DN, 10-01. Hot shooting tonight led the way. We were cold Tuesday, but eked out a win over a lesser team. If we can have more Nights like this, I'm with you. Jeremy with one more about Edie. Complained about two of Edie fouls. Even other networks said it was out of control, the bias. Okay. Hey, you know what? All right. Those guys were completely biased towards Michigan. I thought Michigan, they played fantastic. They look great. And I don't have anything. Let me see if I got anything negative to say about Michigan. Nope, I don't. They played wonderfully right up and down the roster. There was one point, Juwan was over picking Brandon Johns up and chest bumping him. If I would nitpick something, I would look towards the bench where they just got 2 points. But on the other side, the starters were great. And so now we'll see if they're able to take this Saturday night and do it again against Ohio State. Just remember, after every game, I jump in here and talk about it. I thought I'd only, just me here. I thought maybe I'd just talk for 5 minutes or so and then, put this one to bed, it being so late and everything. But, the way they played got me, a little bit jumpy. Got me yelling like that. So it was a good time. Unexpected. Out of nowhere from this Michigan team, but this is the time of year. There's another cliche for you. This is the time of year where you like to see them doing some things like that. Jeremy, if you lose by 26, does that foul on Edie change the game? Good point. No, it doesn't. No, not when you lose by 26. Maybe if he'd had a couple other cheap ones. Hunter was on the bike for 10 minutes in the game. Yeah, that thing about Hunter, I didn't know it was going on. I'm sure they'll ask about that in the post game. Andre wanting to know if they can replicate the effort on the defensive end. Great question, Andre. Great question. I mean, if we're talking about what were some of the issues this year, yeah, defense, even Penn State, the guards, the blow-bys against Purdue, the pick and roll, the tandem against Central Florida, the tandem that did Michigan in against Minnesota. I mean, there was, that happened a little bit too much where two guys are just going bonkers on the Wolverines. So good points. Jeremy, thanks for getting in here. It's nice to have people, weighing in. We'll figure out, maybe we'll get some tournament time. We'll figure out how to get the audio rolling in on this. Then we'll really get crazy. Sit around in these post games and get nuts. Will Michigan storm the court if they beat Ohio State? Quick answer, kind of cool. Yeah. Yeah, I think they will. I think they should. Ohio State's a top 25 team. And you know what? What? I'm all right with storming the court. I like a little court storming. You go back to a young Dennis Fithian, I'll take you back. It may have been my first Michigan game, 1985-86, last game of the year. Michigan's playing Indiana to win the Big Ten for 2 years in a row. I don't remember where I was sitting, but I was down on that court after the game. Guard Thompson was there, gave him a high five. It was, so like I said, a long time ago, so kind of sketchy about exactly where I was sitting and everything else. But I do remember that Michigan beat Indiana. They rolled them, back-to-back Big Ten titles, and I was down on the floor, and Guard Thompson was like, what's up? And it was a great memory. So, yeah, this would be different. Michigan's not winning a championship if they beat Ohio State on Saturday. But you know what? 2 top 20. They hadn't had a top 25. I mean, there was barely enough, to stand up and cheer for the team this year. So, yeah, storm the court against Purdue, storm the court against Ohio State. I'm all for it. You know what? Andre is right. The D led to the offense. Yeah, the full court press. And you know what? Maybe, Diabate plays out there he's 6'11". He's got, a 7'2" reach. They put him out there in a diamond, and he covers a lot of floor. And if it's not him, it's Jace Howard. Maybe that's, Michigan finding something there. But, they found here, it was just really I think a desperation. A team that knows like they don't have many outs. This is it. If they want to play, I mean, like one thing in college, it's one thing in college basketball to be picked to be the preseason favorite in the Big Ten. It's another thing, for teams talking about before you even throw the ball up that you're going to make the Final Four, you're going to win it all. It's another thing where you don't make the tournament. Like, you don't make the tournament. It's been a disappointing season. And this team still has a chance to make the tournament, but they need to play like they did tonight. And, they knew and they know the time is running out. And if you just look back, they're picking up some wins. And, Tuesday was an ugly win tonight. It was a thing of beauty. This was a masterpiece. This was Michigan's Mona Lisa. And get that brush out, keep the paints going, and let's see what they're able to get together on Saturday night against Ohio State. 1 o'clock, I want to remind people, if you're ever around your computer or you listen to the podcast, Amazing Blue Review, I go live at 1 o'clock weekdays, Saturday, beyond. After the Michigan-Ohio State game, we'll be talking about it. I like Michigan playing all these games now, especially, they're winning. I like that part as well. I like talking about wins. Losses, I sit here complaining about the shooting. I'd be like Jim complaining about the refs, all of that. Tonight's why I watch. You sit back. People like things like The Bachelor, what are they, live TV or whatever, sports. And, Michigan in particular, sitting back all year long. I mean, you'd have talked to me 10 minutes before the game. And I had a friend of mine, kept saying like, do you think I should bet Michigan in this game? I said, you know what? No, I don't. I think I told him what I thought was the best bet was Purdue on the money line. He's like, I'm not betting Purdue on the money line. I get 40 cents on the dollar. I said, well, we'll wait and see. Maybe Michigan will take a little bit of a lead. You'll be able to get some even money. And that's what he did. And you know what? I wrote a text back at in the second half apologizing to him. He said, I didn't take it. Smart move. Hopefully you didn't either. All right. That's going to do it. Michigan. Oh, we got one more. Before we go, I like people, sneaking in right before the buzzer. And it's Antoine who gets the last. I don't know if it's the last laugh, but he gets the last piece of feedback here. Michigan is young. When they figure it all out and put it together, they'll be hell to deal with. Maybe things are coming together for them. The thing about young teams is they have to learn how to win. Well, Antoine, there's nothing against anybody else here tonight. I recognize Antoine from football season. Where football season, you might see him every day leaving a message. Here he is in basketball season coming around. And I don't think there's ever been truer sentences that were written about Michigan or about young basketball teams. You're right on top of it, Antoine. Great job. Good to see you. You have a nice night. Everybody have a great night. It's going to be a great weekend. We start thinking about it. You do got that basketball game on Saturday, and the last of the football games, the Super Bowl coming up. I don't know why I got Michael Jackson on here. I might have went to the dance music. All right, it's a final. 82-58. Thanks for watching. Woo! I'm up on my toes.